What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down UCLA quarterback commit DANTE Moore. We're going to talk about why his play style reminds me of Patrick Mahomes. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it can teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a QB or wide receiver and would like to train with us this offseason, we're going to be traveling out to 12 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Charlotte. That camp is completely sold out, but then we'll be coming out to Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys would like some more information on that, how you guys can sign up and get some working with myself and my staff of coaches, check out that very first link in the description below. We would love to have you out. Let's get started with this video. So now DANTE Moore has got one of those quick twitch releases, right? He's got a lot of arm speed. He's got a great arm slot. He's got great hips. There are a few little tweaks and details that we can discuss here today, but he throws a great ball. So let's play this first clip. So this is a good example of having that like quick twitch motion. You hear a lot of times, like the Elite 11 coaches, you hear a lot of times college coaches talk about, oh, does the quarterback have that like twitch? Is he twitchy, right? So what does that exactly mean? And that means the quarterback's ability to generate torque. So DANTE Moore's got an extremely strong arm. Some of the throws that we're looking at here later in this video from the All-American game where he's throwing the ball sidearm 30 yards across the field, standing in the pocket, taking a hit and delivering a shot 30 yards downfield. All those throws you cannot make without having a good mechanical sequence. And that's what we're going to break down first, then get into the game film. So when you guys are trying to throw with more velocity, anybody who knows anything about playing quarterback, it's all about your legs and it is all about your hips. Arm strength does not come from your arm and from your shoulders. And he obviously understands that concept because his hips rotate through really well. So when you guys are throwing, you want to think of it like you're hitting a baseball. You got the baseball bat back here, you take a step with your front foot, and when you pivot off of your back foot, that hip comes through and then the bat comes through trailing behind. It's called torque. You have to be able to separate that upper body from that lower body. They call that hip and shoulder dissociation. So from a quarterback perspective, that means when you take a step with your front stride, you need to go back with the football. You need to be able to separate your shoulders from those hips to get to that dissociation position. So now when Moore does that, he closes slightly with that front shoulder, his front foot is down, and now his hips are starting to drive through. That is the key position to be able to get that whip effect to your arm. Now, you cannot get there if you don't have a good base. So quarterbacks are built from the ground up. Every single quarterback that I work with, every single quarterback that watches these videos and uses it to get better, I recommend starting with this. Start with your base. When you're in a base in the pocket, you want to make sure that your back foot is underneath your back shoulder because that allows you to get to a position where most of your weight is loaded onto this back side. Now, I'm not saying you want to throw off your back foot. I'm saying pre-throw, you want to make sure that you get your weight back. A good position to try to get to is you want to try to keep your back shin straight. Now, Moore kind of has a cave with his back knee inward here. We're going to talk about why that's bad in a second. But for the most part, he's got his weight back. Now, the reason why you want about 65, 70% of your weight on that back leg is so you can transfer that weight through. So you can drive from that quad, pivot off that back foot, and that weight transfer is what will coil your hips into rotating through. The drive from your legs, the ground force creates the rotational force. Now, that's why you want that weight back because that 65, 70% that you transfer to your front foot is where your power comes from. But also, you being loaded on that back leg allows you to rotate with your front shoulder. So many quarterbacks cannot physically get to this position, shoulders back, hips going through, because they have an improper base. What a lot of guys will do is this back foot will probably be a yard wider than where Moore's is. Their knee is caved way inward, and most of their weight is onto their front side. So that prevents them from rotating with their shoulder and taking the ball back. All their weight's essentially already going forward and already transferred to the front leg. So that will cause them to take a step with the front foot and those hips will be non-existent. They will trail behind in the motion and the shoulders will end up rotating through first. And we don't want that to happen because that will take away arm strength and put pressure on the elbow and the shoulder. We want the front stride to get down and then we want the hips to be able to rotate through before my shoulders and before the football. They call that chasing the hip. You want the football to chase your back hip. So now, reason why he's got such a whip to his arm is because of that. There's so much speed there with his hips. He doesn't take a long stride. Everything is quick twitch and everything is snapping through. What a lot of guys will do is when they get to this position with their weight back, they will push off of their back foot and take a very long stride. But when you take a long stride, what is your weight doing? All of your weight is going forward. And therefore, you can't stay back on the ball, you can't get your shoulders back, and you don't get to that dissociation position, which will give you more torque and more velocity on the ball. So when you take that quick stride and that front foot gets in the ground and your weight was back, your back foot was underneath your shoulders can go back, that hip rotation creates that whip, and there is so much speed there with your arm, which is what makes a ton of velocity on that throw. So now, you see how Moore gets to like this position right here, where his elbow and his shoulder are kind of ahead of his back hip. That is solely because he kind of has a little bit of a pull with his front arm. When you guys finish on a throw, when those hips rotate through, we want to try to stay level with my shoulders and level with my hips. But when my front side rips open a little bit too quickly, you see how his shoulder comes open and he kind of over rotates a tad, that can cause that arm to lead, or my shoulders and elbow to lead my hips. So make sure when we throw, fellas, we're trying to keep my shoulders level and my hips parallel to the target so I could just extend from this point. I'm not coming across my body because my shoulder is flying open. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. So a lot of twitch to Moore's motion. That's why that arm looks like that. But again, a lot of arm strength, a lot of velocity on that ball, which allows him to make certain throws like this. So this is the part of his game that reminds me a lot of Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes, obviously baseball background, he's got great hip rotation, he's got weight transfer, he's got a great base, but there are certain throws that he makes are just insane. And there are throws where he's having to change up the arm slot, throw around somebody, throw quote-unquote sidearm. So what are the situations that we do that? Because that's such a popular topic in the quarterback world today. You got guys out there saying that they invented arm angles. You got guys talking about, oh, sidearm is bad for you. Then you got some guys saying sidearm is good for your arm. There are a million different opinions by a million different quarterback coaches out there. But the fact of the matter is, and the film backs it up. That's why I show film. That's why it's not just my face on here talking. I show film to showcase to you guys there are many different arm slots at the quarterback position. It's all based on the situation. So let's look at this throw here from DANTE Moore. This is an absolute rip. Throws around a defender into traffic and just throws a dime on this seam. Now, granted, it's an all-star game. Maybe the guys aren't trying that hard, but it looks like they're trying at least up front. So when he goes to make this throw, this is the situation where you would have to change up that arm slot and throw around somebody. If this guy wasn't here, let's say he was getting kicked out wide and he had a clear passing lane, he would be more over the top with his release. And it doesn't need to be directly over the top. It doesn't need to be a perfect 90-degree angle. Some guys have like a 3/4 arm slot. But when you have to throw around a defender, that is when you change up the arm slot. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's not throwing sidearm when he's got a clear passing lane. He's throwing sidearm when he's in this situation. And for him to be able to make this throw showcases that, one, he's comfortable in the pocket, two, he's comfortable with more difficult and harder throws, and three, he has great mechanics. Because, fellas, when you're trying to change up the arm slot, I'm trying to throw around somebody, I'm trying to be, I got to make, like, whether it's a check down or whether it's a seam downfield, I have to make sure I get to something called extension. So extension is that point of the release where you flick your wrist. This point right here, extension. Now, extension doesn't happen if you have an undisciplined front side. So if you were to take, like, let's say Moore was here, and let's say he dipped his head, pulled the elbow down, and started to lean out of the throw, his arm would fly outside of his frame. Every time that we throw, there is something called a midline. That's pretty much your spine. So think of your spine. If you dip your front side this way, what do you think that's going to do to your arm? It's going to do the opposite, right? You dip down, your arm's going to go out. And when that arm gets outside of your frame, not inside your frame like this, let's say outside of your frame, that's when we can't get to extension. So if he dips, he pulls the elbow down. Instead of him extending at the target, he's going to come down on the target. And if he lets it go early, it misses high. Lets it go late, it misses low. It's all about being able to get to extension. And that comes from undisciplined front side and trusting your hands, right? So if you got a guy right in your face and you're like, oh, well, I got to change my arm slot, but I'm not sure how to do it, think of it mechanically the same. Think of it, you want your weight to be back. You want your weight to be loaded. You have to get to that dissociation position. And I'm not saying to think of this in a live game scenario. I'm just saying think of it right now. But when you go to throw, trust your hands. You got to throw around a guy? Let's throw my hands. at the receiver, because that is how you change that arm slot. It's almost like in baseball when you're turning two. You trust your hands, you let your hands follow to the guy to change up that arm angle. That is a textbook sidearm arm slot throw right there from Dante Moore, and that is an absolute dot downfield. Those are some of the throws right there, fellas, that I'm telling you right now, if you make those throws on film, college coaches will love that, because everybody's looking for that diamond in the rough guy who can make those types of throws that maybe isn't, oh, well, these coaches don't know about this guy. He's a superstar player. All of those things. Like, you look at Patrick Mahomes, I don't know how heavily recruited he was out of high school. Probably pretty heavily recruited. I think he grew up in Texas, so probably heavily recruited. But nonetheless, he went to Texas Tech. Like, it wasn't like he was going to Alabama. It wasn't like he was going to LSU at the time. He went to Texas Tech, right? And again, they loved him at Texas Tech. He fit in perfectly in that offense, and that's all you need as a quarterback. You need one coach to believe in you. That is it. And if you can make these types of throws and these types of plays on film, that's going to make you stand out all the more. So let's look at these two next plays. These are why he's got such a high ranking. I believe he's a 5-star. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if he's a 5-star or not, but he's playing Power 5 ball. He was committed to Oregon, committed to UCLA. I'm sure he had 25 different offers to begin with as well. So let's look at this play here. He drops back, unblocked pressure off the edge, makes a guy miss, and then he's able to deliver a shot, eyes downfield, all of that. These are the types of plays that college coaches want to see you make, because so many guys, they'll take a sack right here and they'll be like, oh, my lineman's not blocking. Fellas, if he doesn't block, you got to make a play. That's got to be your mindset. It can't be, I'm just going to put blame, like, oh, my receivers aren't open. How about you create something back there and help them get open, right? Let them run a scramble drill with you. Step up in the pocket, take off and run. You can't just put blame on everybody else at the quarterback position. You got to make plays like this. Escaping out of the pocket, making somebody miss, getting out of the pocket with your eyes downfield, and being a passer first, being a quarterback first. There are a lot of guys out there that in this situation wouldn't look to pass first. They would pull the ball down and go get 7-8 yards. Guys, we're quarterbacks, we're not running backs. Those are the plays that guys are looking for. College coaches got plenty of running backs in their DMs. They got plenty of running backs on their recruiting boards that they can choose from who are better athletes than us. That's just fact of the matter how it is. We are passers. So these are the plays that you need to include on your film. I don't want to see you make a guy miss and then pull the ball down and go get 15 yards on a rush. I want to see you make a guy miss and go deliver a shot downfield. It doesn't even have to be a touchdown. I just need to see that you are a passer first, because that is what I am looking for in my quarterback. Okay, so make sure, fellas, these are the plays that college coaches want to see on film. Another thing that college coaches want to see on film, and the reason why I showcase this is there are too many quarterbacks out there that have incorrect film. I think your height, a lot of people will ask me, and I see a lot of questions asked just in general, oh, coach, how do I get exposure? How do I get noticed? How can I get my film in front of a college coach? And the fact of the matter is there is no magic recipe. There is no secret formula that is going to help you get recruited. You know, you could pay NCSA $1 million and they will still not help you. You could pay them whatever they're asking and they are still not going to help you. It's a total scam. All these recruiting services are total scams. You know what gets you recruited? Your film. Your film and what you were doing in the offseason, how you were getting better, all of those things is what will get you recruited. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're a good football player, you're going to play at the next level. If you suck, you're not going to play at the next level. That's just plain and simple how it is. So everybody's always so worried. Like, I'll get 8th grade kids asking me, well, coach, will 7-on-7 get me offers? Do you think college coaches will look at my youth film? No, they don't care. They want to see varsity film. Can you make college level plays in high school varsity ball? That is, at the end of the day, what they want to see. Are you the best player on your team? Are you the best player in your league? Are you the best player in your city? Are you the best player in your state? Those are the 5 things that they are going to want to see. And if you can't check off those boxes, then you are probably not going to be playing at the next level, or at least the Division I level. Not saying you won't play at the next level, because I truly believe that everybody is capable of playing college football. It's just a matter of what level there is. And there are reasons like size, speed, arm strength. I get it. But on film is the key. And this is a play that they are going to look for. Can you stand in the pocket, take a hit, and be able to deliver the ball still accurately? This is one of those plays, like this is something that, and I never really like to toot my own horn in these videos, but this is something that I did a ton. Like, I'm going to tell you this right now. In high school, I was probably 5'9", maybe 5'10" on a good day if I wore 2 pairs of socks, right? 165 pounds, got a lot of recruiting attention from D2 schools, lower division D1 schools, because of one, I played in California, that certainly helps, but I probably had 12 or 13 throws just like this, maybe not this caliber of a ball, because this is an insane rip, but where I was standing in the pocket and took a hit and still delivered a shot. And you know where those clips went? They went early on my highlight tape. They were in the first 5-6 plays, those clips. Or the first 5 out of the maybe 13 plays, my 5 best ones, those went up front in the tape. Because if a college coach can see that you can stand in the pocket, you're comfortable in the pocket, you're getting hit, those are the throws that he wants to see. He doesn't want to see you throw a 40-yard touchdown where you're untouched and the receiver's wide open. What does that show him? Okay, he could throw a fade. Cool. There are 1,000 other kids across the country that can throw a fade. Show him something that 1,000 other kids across the country can't do, and that's stand in and throw while taking a shot. Those are plays that you need to work on. So how do you work on this? What do you do to get better at this? This is something that you could work on by simply having a good base in the pocket. That's number one. Because you see when Moore's back there in the pocket, a lot of times guys, when they feel pressure, they tense up. You know, they'll tense up. Their base gets real narrow. They fade out of there. They're inconsistent. You have to make sure that we work on always having a strong base in the pocket. Number two, you have to work situations where you're actually throwing while getting hit. If you got a receiver that's running routes for you, I would try to grab another receiver, get a blocking bag, and I would throw in the pocket and have that other receiver hit you. Just get comfortable throwing with contact. He doesn't have to knock you down or anything, but you just have to rep this out so you're comfortable with it. So in a real game, when you're not thinking about the pressure, you're just getting hit, you've been there before, and you know your confidence in throwing an accurate shot. So fellas, throwing while getting hit, there's another reason why this guy is such a highly recruited guy. You see all the top guys in the NFL are able to do it. All the top guys in college can all throw while taking a hit. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, if you guys would like to train with us in 12 different states, this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out to one of our off-season camps. I'll see you guys next time.